Cell phone, brothers and sisters. VAT on cell phone use. And again, let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. In principle, I do not have a difficulty with some form of tax on cell phone use. We have to understand that. If you have to raise revenue and you see it as a means of raising revenue, you could do something about it. What we are concerned about, brothers and sisters, is the rate of VAT that is being proposed, the rationale being advanced by the Minister for Finance, as well as the manner of implementation of that cell phone tax, or VAT. Brothers and sisters, we are saying that moving from zero, where you had nothing, to 20% borders on the ridiculous. All other services have moved from either 5 or 8 to 15, but they have singled out cell phone for 20% treatment. What is the rationale advanced by the Minister for Finance? Listen to what he said. Grenadians spend too much time talking. They spend 115 million minutes on cell phone calls. Each minute is paid for. Most of the money goes out of the country. Too many cell phones in the country, 109,000 cell phone users, half under the age of 19. I'll tell you something about Nazimatics in a while. This method is so simple, brothers and sisters, that it defies logic. What the gentleman is saying, simple. Let us take 100 million units. He's simply saying 100 million units multiplied by, let us say, 10% per minute by 20% VAT, give you a little $2 million that you never bargained for. Pure and simple, the thing's so simple that it defies any kind of sensible logic. Brothers and sisters, I want to ask the Minister of Finance a few questions. Who appointed Mr. Nazim Bok as a cell phone police? Now, who made him a cell phone police? Who is Mr. Nazim Bok to tell Grenadian people they're talking too much? Now, he said 115 million minutes. I want to know how much of that is paid or talk or free talk. We know that there's a lot of free talk in your cell phones, promotional things. What is it? So what will be the taxable base? Is it the 115? Will you be taxing people for talking free as well? Well, you have to be careful, because just now he might come to your house and say, you're talking too much, I'll put a tax on you. The second question I want to ask the Minister of Finance. He said Grenadians talking too much. We're talking too much compared to whom? Compared to whom? Do we know what is the experience in St. Vincent and the other countries? You must give us a basis of comparison, brothers and sisters. If 115 million is too much, what is adequate? What should be the appropriate amount of time that anyone should speak for? I don't know. So there must be a basis of comparison. And unless you tell me what is your basis of comparison, you can't tell me I'm talking too much. What again is the structure of the tax in the different islands? You say we operate within a single economic space. Therefore, you should use the experience of the other countries. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, brothers and sisters. Another piece of mathematics. He said half of the cell phone users, not cell phones, be careful. He said half of the cell phone users, I said there are 109 cell phone users, half under the age of 19. But we know the population of Grenada under 19 is less than 50,000. So what is the rationale? Is it telling us that if someone owns 2 cell phones, that person is 2 users? What is the rationale? How could 19 person under 19, 40,000 or less as users, yet you tell me 54,000 under 19 as users? That doesn't make sense. If you tell me 45,000 cell phone in use, I will understand that. Because someone could have 2 or more cell phones. And having 2 cell phones, brothers and sisters, does not mean that you're talking more than somebody with 1 cell phone. And that is his rationale. Because you have 3 cell phones, that means you're talking a lot. That does not make sense, brothers and sisters. Listen to what they're doing again. Listen to what the Minister of Finance is doing. He's saying that under the new regime, the VAT or the GCT on cell phones themselves will be reduced from 55% to 15%. Yeah? So basically, it's an incentive for you to buy cell phones. You're reducing it, it's cheaper. But he's turning around at the same time and saying, if you use it, I'll put a 20% tax on you. Does that make sense? The cell phone itself, brothers and sisters, is more environmentally unfriendly. Therefore, we have to look at the disposal of the cell phone. And maybe that should be classified as one of the so-called sin goods, according to Northern, and impose that special tax, the excise tax on cell phone as well. So on one hand, he's telling you, bring in cell phone, buy cell phone. But sometimes, don't use cell phone. Put it on your desk, put it on your table as an ornament and smile at it. Put it on your phone, on your desk and just smile at the cell phone. Don't use it. That is what he's telling us, brothers and sisters, with his awkward policies. Brothers and sisters, we have to understand a few things. Not all cell phone users abuse the use of the cell phone. It's not true that everybody abuses the use of the cell phone. To a lot of people, cell phone is a necessity, not a luxury anymore, brothers and sisters. As a matter of fact, there are a number of persons who have given up their landline to use a cell phone because it is more convenient for them, brothers and sisters. So don't think cell phones are luxury items. This government has been encouraging the farmers and fishermen to use cell phones. They tell the farmers, listen, we cannot harm you, so use your cell phone. But they're turning around now and impose a VAT of 20% on the same cell phone they're asking the farmers to use. Cell phones, again, brothers and sisters, in times of emergency. If there is an emergency and you want to report an emergency, where will you find a landline if you're way up in Grenada Hills, brothers and sisters, and there is an emergency? It is not always a luxury. There are times it is necessity. Emergency users, brothers and sisters, need cell phone, the doctors, the nurses. So don't think, brothers and sisters, that cell phone is a luxury and that you put a luxury tax on it. Number of business persons, brothers and sisters, also transact their business with cell phones. It means that that cost will now be passed on as part of a business cost, the overhead cost. The price of goods again will increase because of that factor, brothers and sisters. We have to understand that. Therefore, what will be the impact? What will be the impact? The possible cutback in cell phone use, brothers and sisters. If you increase, it's simple mathematics. If you increase the price of something, quite obviously people may cut back on the use, on the demand for it. So quite obviously people might cut back on the use of the cell phone. You know what most of you will get now? Call me back, call me back. Everybody will tell you, call me back. Nobody wants to call anymore. The profitability to the companies, brothers and sisters, they pay corporate tax. So if the reduced demand will affect the profitability of the company, it means that the taxable income that the government will get from taxing those companies, corporate tax will also be reduced, brothers and sisters. So that is another impact that you have to measure. The employment effect, brothers and sisters. And even more importantly, brothers and sisters, we understand and we know that those telecommunication providers, brothers and sisters, they sponsor a lot of activities in the country. Chances are, they might tell you that if my profit is cut back, I will not be able to sponsor what I used to sponsor before. Will the government take up the slack? So there are a number of things that we have to look at, brothers and sisters. In essence, this government has chosen the easy way out to raise revenue by putting more and higher taxes on the backs of the ordinary people. Studies have shown that higher taxes do not necessarily yield more revenue.